of Carterton District, there's going to be a lot on our plates in the next 3 years. A lot will be for us to get our teeth into, but I'm extremely confident that we've got the and the people and the willingness to get the job done. Well done.
Councillor Crenny.
Kia ora, His Worship. I'd just like to congratulate those elected again, and I look forward to us working well together as a team going forward, and I look forward to working well with our management group as well. So, thank you.
Steve Bishop.
I feel as though, congratulations to everyone, new ones, like me. I feel as though it's a team that I've seen other teams that aren't working well together. I feel as though this is a team that can work well together. Just got to be a plus.
Councillor Newman.
Kia ora koutou, ko Lou Newman taku ingoa, tēnā koutou katoa. I'm so excited to be here. I think it's an awesome group of people. I'm really excited to bring my energy to the table with everybody else's. And I think we've got a good group and an awesome leadership team. So I'm excited to see where we go from here.
Councillor Lawrence.
I feel pretty good about this council. I think having spent a few minutes with everybody since the election, I think we've got a good mix of experience and some youth. I remember being young. And I'm looking forward to the next 3 years.
Yeah. Thank you. Councillor Ayden.
Kia ora, ko Grace tuku ingoa. I'd like to congratulate everyone and just say I'm really excited to work with all of you, and I think this is going to be a really important term in council for Carterton, and I'm looking forward to being part of it with you all.
Yeah. Councillor Tree.
Welcome back to my fellow councillors from last Triennial, and welcome to our new councillors and our new mayor. I'm looking forward to this next 3 years. I think there's going to be some really cool stuff happening, and yeah, we're looking forward to it. I think we're going to work well together.
Thanks everybody for showing confidence in me from all the recent elections. So yeah, as I say, I'm looking forward to the next 3 years, the next triennium. As everybody said, we've got a lot of challenging things on our plate coming up. A lot from coming in from Wellington, so we've got a lot to deal with, and not forgetting the local urban and rural ratepayers. We've got to have them in front of us the whole time. So looking forward to the challenge. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Jeff.
Kia ora.
Ena mana, ena reo, ena karanga maha, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Ko hamitana toku iwi ko lanak ko tiri ana toku wharu, ko Sevilla toku waru waka, ko I raro I te mara o te mata Hiratonga, ki te taha o te awa tukutuku. Ko Jeff Hamilton toku ingoa, ko aho te tumuaki rangatira o rohi o Taratahi. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Kia ora, my name is Jeff Hamilton. I'm the Chief Executive, originally many generations ago from Scotland, and more recently from Hiratonga, Hawke's Bay. So, and I'm pleased to be here and be of service as in my management team to support you as council and setting the direction and implementing that for the district of Carterton. Thank you. Kia ora.
Thanks, Jeff. We should do a round of senior management side.
If you'd like.
I think so.
Kia ora. Yeah. So let me introduce Kelly. That's yes.
Kia ora everyone. Congratulations again on being here. Looking forward to working with you all this term. I'm the Corporate Services Manager. So welcome.
Kia ora. Johannes Ferreira.
Kia ora. Yeah, congratulations to all the elected members and welcome back to those returning and forward to working with you.
So Johannes is infrastructure and services.
Oh, sorry about that.
He's new, he forgot what his job title is. Glenda Seville.
Kia ora everybody, I'm Glenda Seville, Community Services and Facilities Manager. Congratulations, really looking forward to working with you.
Kia ora, tēnā koutou katoa, ko Jerry Looking tōku ingoa. I'm the People and Wellbeing Manager, which means I look after largely the staff. Our internal best resource that we have, most precious resource that we have is our team. So we're really pleased to be working jointly with them to support and support them to deliver your plans and your aspirations for our business. So congratulations, welcome. Yeah, we're really keen to work with you.
Kia ora koutou, Your Worship the Mayor and Councillors. Ko Solitaire Robertson tōku ingoa. I am the Planning and Regulatory Manager here at Carterton District Council. I, like my colleagues, want to congratulate you all on being around this table, and I'm sure that you're pleased that the declarations are out the road. As a new councillor, that's probably the worst part of your very first meeting, so you'll now be able to settle down to business, and I'm looking forward to working with you all.
Anything else? That's it. Okay. Well, thank you all. Thank you very much. And to those who are viewing, welcome to our inaugural, our very first hui of the new triennium. So first item on the agenda at this point is 6.2, voting procedures for the election of Deputy Mayor and other appointments. There is a small change from the papers that you've received. A little piece of that was not quite relevant to the way that I want to proceed. I'll just sort of advise that I am retaining my right to appoint, but on this person, as we discussed the other day, I'd prefer the Deputy Mayor be a vote. And having spoken to you, I think the first thing I need to do is pass through. So is there anyone wish for any clarification within the paper itself? I'd like to move straight to the first recommendation, and the amended part, the amendment to what we're actually going to move is not that complete wording. It will be that council agrees that voting system A, as decided previously, be used to determine the election of the Deputy Mayor. That'll be the first resolution, and then I will move a motion nominating my Deputy Mayor. So could I have a mover and a seconder on the first resolution agrees that the voting system A be used to determine the election of Mayor? Can someone to move? Thank you, Steve. Someone to second. Thank you, Brian. Councillor Della and Councillor Cretney. All in favour? Aye. Against? The motion is carried unanimously. So with that, I wish to move that Councillor Dale Williams be appointed as the Deputy Mayor for the Carterton District Council for the period 2022 to 2025. Do I seconded by Steve Cretney? Is there any questions, any discussion? We'll come from moving straight to the vote. All those in favour, say aye.
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 Against? Motion's carried unanimously. Congratulations, Dale. All right. Thank you for that, Councillor. Dale.
Thank you, everybody. Between His Worship, the Mayor and me, I think we've got over 50 years of community leadership and service and experience between us. And as unique as that is, and even as impressive as it might sound, it actually means very little unless we can continue to make appreciable differences for the people of Carterton District. So as Deputy Mayor, my focus is going to be to support His Worship the Mayor and Council and Jeff and his team to help Carterton District Council be the most economic, efficient and effective council it can possibly be. I just want to thank everybody for your support, particularly my family over here, Marion and Harvey, for coming along. You know the person that I am, you know how I conduct myself. I can absolutely assure you that I won't drop the ball and I won't let you down. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Dale. Thank you. Okay, elected 6.3, next item on the agenda, elected members' remuneration. The papers are clear and we had already had a conversation around this. There are two recommendations I'd like to move straight to, unless there's some questions about the paper at all or any points anyone wishes to raise. Great. So the first recommendation is that we receive the report. Someone to move that. Thank you, Councillor Ayling. And a seconder, Councillor Robin Cherry Campbell. All in favour? Aye. Against? Motion's carried. Second recommendation agrees to recommend the Remuneration Authority remuneration for 22-25 triennium of the Deputy Mayor be that figure which we agreed has been the current, is 49,995. And that all other councillors equally share the amount of 25,253 per councillor. Can I have a mover? Councillor Newman and Councillor Cretney, seconded. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Thank you. Motion is carried. The note I have is council notes the council will review this allocation during the triennium and seek approval for changes from the Remuneration Authority. Do we need to move on that, Jeff, or just note it? That is just noted, and rest assured, and I'll give you my assurance that I don't think, I think there's room for improvement insofar as the Remuneration Authority's views are in that respect, because I know the hours that councillors put in, and I know the call upon your family, and I know the amount of extra work that goes in over and above what people see you do here at this table and what they see you do in front of committees. So that is definitely noted. Moving forward. Item 6.4, Code of Conduct. There's a paper, and I have had a couple of phone calls along the way. There are some changes to the Code of Conduct, which are changes from the last triennium. I'm going to simply open the floor initially for a conversation or any comments any councillor wishes. Jeff?
I need to introduce the.
I think so, Jeff. Yeah, good place to start.
Okay. Kia ora, councillors. So the management team have been working in the background, knowing there's been an upcoming election on a couple of standing order, a couple of documents that we have. And the first one that we have in front of you is the Code of Conduct. So the Code of Conduct is the document that sets out the procedures for councillors and what happens in the event those procedures may not be followed. We have picked up the existing Local Government New Zealand, so LGNZ template, refreshed template, 2022 template of the Code of Conduct, and then made some minor amendments that are more suitable for Carterton District Council. So there has been initial LGNZ review of it, and two of the management staff, so our Corporate Services Manager and myself and Democratic Services have been through the Code of Conduct to make sure that it is suitable for our council. And so that is the document that we see in front of us, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jeff, what are the changes that you guys felt were more appropriate for Carterton than the LGNZ document?
So the very good question. The LGNZ document is silent on a number of areas, in particular what happens when we have quorum losses and things like that. So we thought, particularly with COVID, there has been a focus with Zoom and online meetings, and so it's really important that we state in the Code of Conduct that voting members must be present when the pandemic enforcement notice is no longer available to us. So that has now dropped. Government has dropped the pandemic enforcement notice. And then there are some clarifications around having cameras on whilst you are attending online, or particularly while you're voting. Some clarifications that allow the chair to confirm, for example, that there's nobody else in the room when we're having perhaps a public excluded part of a council meeting, and also a requirement to keep electronic devices on silent whilst we're in council. So we've added those sorts of things that we noticed during the COVID crisis that we thought were important to add to our Code of Conduct.
it's a large document. It's, for those who have not seen Code of Conduct before, are you comfortable? I'm quite happy to take a little bit of time if you need. Steve?
If I may, if we have to get to the Code of Conduct, we've got a bigger problem. Our plan is that we adopt this and put it in the bottom drawer.
Yeah.
Ditto with the standing orders, because if we have to start getting into the standing orders and the Code of Conduct, then at council we have a bigger problem with how we conduct our meetings.
That's true. I hope they sit in the bottom of the drawer for the rest of the training, actually. Yeah, if we work collaboratively. Yeah. Okay, so noting the considerations, climate change, tangata whenua, financial impact, community engagement requirements and risks, there are no issues there. It leaves me to move that, look for a move to, and I'd like to take these as one, Jeff, is that permissible? Can I take both these, if there are no objections? I'll take both these motions as one, that we receive the report and we adopt the Carterton District Council Code of Conduct Attachment Number 1, moved by Councillor Robin Cherry Campbell, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Motion's carried. Thank you. Beyond that, 6.5, standing orders. Jeff?
Welcome to the next really weighty document. So again, standing orders, we've picked up very similar to what we were operating under the previous Triennium. We have picked up a refreshed document from LGNZ, and again, Corporate Services Manager and myself have actually read these cover to cover and updated again where we think these procedures needed just clarification for our standing orders. Mostly we will find that the standing orders are designed for large councils for heavy debate, and we don't expect a number of these functions to be used in our council because there tends to be more open discussion and more open debate, but the standing orders are there in the event we do have challenging decisions like some other councils have had around big infrastructure investments where motions needed to be followed through the process quite clearly. However, we hope that we will adopt the standing orders and they will be again filed in the bottom drawer, and council can conduct its activities in a very professional and formal manner regardless. Your wish.
Thank you. Are there any questions or any challenges? I've only got one question. I've lost the resolution. Front page. Front page.
Your Worship, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Okay. Under in the clause 13.16 regarding cameras, if people are sort of tuning in from out of the room, can we have some wording, or could we have wording to make it appropriate that the cameras are actually, if you are zooming in, that the cameras are always on, especially if you are a member of that committee? I just think it's a better look if you can't be in the room for whatever reason. I think it's respectful to have your camera on for the duration of that meeting. That was one question on that clause. And then on 19.3, casting vote, the default position in Local Government Act 2002 is the chair has no casting vote, which obviously if it's an equal vote then the status quo remains. I'd sort of put it as a question, a suggestion, would it be appropriate for this council to adopt that same position, the default position of LGA, and actually have no casting vote of the chair, so status quo would remain?
But just for people who know nothing about these things, Mayor has an ordinary vote.
Yes, yeah.
So there are 9.
So all elected members have a vote. Yeah. Just my couple of questions. My couple of questions.
Any conversation? Comment? Anyone else?
Yeah.
Brian?
Thank you, Worship. On the bottom of page 37, in answer to probably Robin's first question, under 8, elected members attending a meeting by video conference in which they have voting rights have their camera turned on. That's only a best practice
Yeah.
guide.
So my suggestion is instead of having it as a protocol, we actually have it as a requirement under our standing orders. So currently it's a protocol.
Yeah.
My question is, can we have it as a requirement under the standing orders that cameras remain on?
I'm tending to agree with Robin, just with the fact that if other community members are zooming into the same meeting, and it's very good to see if someone's speaking, and or just to see the people who are actually watching the Zoom meeting. So I'm in agreement with Robin's suggestion.
Getting a sense?
Yeah.
I'll take it as a moved motion then. Can I Councillor Chair Campbell? So a motion, looking for words here, that
My notes again.
you amend the standing order be amended.
As per, so it's a comment for clause 13.16 of the standing orders, that it is a requirement under our standing orders for cameras to remain on during video conference.
Opposed to initial, if the chairperson is not satisfied with the explanation, they may require the member's camera to be turned on or terminate the link. I think you have the power in there anyway.
I think, I just thought if it was as part of our standing orders, then it's actually, if you are attending via video conference, you must have your camera on as part of the standing orders.
Right, how do we frame it? Do we need to frame up exact wording for that now, Jeff?
No, you don't.
No, we don't.
I'm happy to, you can adopt the standing orders with a note that clause 13.16 will be amended to require a camera to be on. So what I propose we do is, at the moment, it says the chair has the right to require someone. What I'll do is I'll invert that. So I will invert the clause so that the requirement is your camera must be on unless the chair gives you permission for it not to be.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll take it as a motion moved, and I'm taking it as seconded by Councillor Triennial. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. So noted for amendment. Thank you, Councillor Chair Campbell. The casting vote was the second question that was raised. Any questions? Any other?
Well, I guess the reason for that is always so that a decision can be made by that committee. And if you take away the casting vote, the risk is that decisions can't be made by the numbers. I guess it follows that the chairperson uses that casting vote appropriately, and there's plenty of training and guidance on that for new chairs and so forth to go through. As I say, I'd be in favour of keeping the casting vote as it stands, just simply so that we don't have committees that are unable to proceed due to numbers.
And I would add, I've already on the record very firmly as saying this, I don't believe that the casting vote should be used by the chair to change the status quo. I believe that if you are locked up and you have to use a casting vote to put something through, then you are not actually moving forward in the spirit of collaboration, cooperation, like to see. And I think that local government would expect us to. So my suggestion, I'm with the Deputy Mayor, I think when you are locked, you have to have a decision. Wise chairs of any committee, including this one, will use that casting vote in favour of the status quo. And then you go back to the table, and then you work the paper until you get it to a point where you have a clear majority. And nothing should be advanced on a mayor's casting vote. I'm sorry.
So that's kind of where I was coming from about not having a casting vote. If the chair is going to keep it as a status quo, then that's actually what not having a casting vote does, which then you would go back to the drawing board anyway. So it makes it very clear that.
However, it assumes that the chairperson in each case is going to default to the status quo. Once we get to be selecting the committees, it's going to be different chairs all round. And again, I think And I guess a chairperson could use their casting vote to abstain if they really wish to, if they wanted to keep it as a balance. But again, there's no logic to that. Ideally, you're going to make a decision or the other and then work the process forward.
Vice Chair.
It's really, it's a challenging decision. The challenge that you will face is where you have one of you missing from a meeting. So you move from 9 to 8, or your committee is evenly balanced. And so you will end up in, there are possibilities where you may end up with an even split, even though you have an uneven council. My recommendation would be you leave it there and you use it sparingly.
Yeah.
For to progress, we need a mover and a seconder, and if there is no mover and no seconder, we'll proceed as we are. I take it there is no mover, no seconder to the proposition, so that will remain as it is. But I think the conversation is worth noting for all who hold chairmanships of committees, please. You have a clear sense of your colleagues' views on how those are used. The motion, trying to find that page, Jim. I should have flagged it. Here we are, recommendation.
His Worship, just in respect, just before you move to the recommendations, just one of them's clause 22, options for speaking and moving.
Page.
Electronic page?
Sorry, page. It's at the bottom of page 36, clause 22, options for speaking and moving, with the options of A, B or C. Just referring back to Jeff's comments about the standing orders and so forth, I feel over the last 3 years, option A has worked pretty well for us around the table, and with standing orders going in the bottom drawer, I'm not sure we need to consider or need to change to option B or C. So I just thought if there's any conversation around the table about that.
Have to choose one. Yeah, we do have to choose one. So okay, that is the nub of the recommendation number 2. We need to make a decision on that, whether it's A, B or C, and I'm going to lean back to previous councillors. Any comment, Councillor Della?
Yeah, I've got no problem with option A, as Steve has already pointed out. The only difference between A and B is the members moving and seconding, isn't it? That I can see an amendment. So I don't think it's going to worry our council of this size.
Councillor Jerry Campbell.
I'm easy anyway.
With A?
So not a me.
No change?
No, there's no reason to change. It's never reared its head as being an issue.
Yeah. Okay.
Stick to what
Is
works.
anyone else? Steve? No. Cool.
Something else. Point 2011, bottom of page 36, about the phones. It says on silent, but also not on vibrate, because I think that can be just as disruptive to the meetings, the phones vibrating in the background. I don't know if we need to clarify that, but yeah.
Can have that. We could have that. We could have it. It's just.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, so sitting with these options, are we good to vote? I think we'll move to let's take I'm going to take recommendation 2 first, and we'll do that. Then we'll combine 1 and 3, if everybody's happy to do that. So on the question of option A, B, or C, speaking and moving motions, I sense that the view is we stick with option A from the last triennium. So I just need a mover. Councillor Cretney, seconded by Councillor Della. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried. Thank you for that. So moving to recommendations 1 and 3, putting together one that we receive the report. Secondly, we adopt Carterton District Council standing orders.
As amended.
As amended, as will be amended. I need a mover. Councillor Chair Campbell and Councillor Williams. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried. Thank you. Chopping right through.
So,
Thank you. Yep.
So these, the next paper is decisions around council committees, and these committees and advisory groups are created by and report back to council. These are not committees and advisory groups that are part of the community that do not report to or have not been created by council. So there are other committees outside of this where sometimes elected members are part of, but they are appointed under their own rules. These are the committees and advisory groups that are created and report back to ordinary council, this council table.
Kelly, could you?
Question?
The resolution, just to explain the resolution process. This has changed. Receives a report, agrees to the governance structure 5 and 6. Right. Resolution, yeah, that's a thank you, right here. Okay, so using the powers that come with me, I have spoken to all of you pretty much on and off over the last, and we had our conversation on the 6th, was it? What day was it? Where we got an indication as we want to be. Some of the committees, I think, need a refresh. And so maybe some disappointment, but I think I'm trying to exercise the skills and talents that I see in you all, plus ensure that new councillors have an opportunity to lead. And so this is what I'm intending. Audit and risk. The chair will remain pending a governance review that we've already talked about further down the line, which will include all of these committees and the whole structure of the council as well. But we will, in 12 months, I think, 12 months, we will engage in a governance review across the entire portfolio listing, committee structure, and in terms of appointees. But for now, it is prudent, I think, to move to roll Philip Jones over as the Chair of Audit and Risk, as we previously discussed and agreed. The Deputy Chair, I'm wishing to appoint the Deputy Mayor as Deputy Chair of Audit and Risk. And the 2 elected members will be Councillor Aileen and Councillor Cretney. Of course, we have the Hurunui-Rangi Marae representative there as well. Policy and Projects Committee, Chair Steve Cretney, Councillor Cretney. Deputy Chair, Councillor Gallen. All elected members, councillors, are members of that committee. All may participate. And I know that there are a number of you have good solid backgrounds in policy development, and your contributions will be valuable in there. Of course, that also includes the Hurunui-Rangi representative. Investment Committee, that chair will be independent, and we will have to determine that at a later time. Deputy Chair, the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Williams. Elected members for that Investment Committee, leaning back on that degree, Councillor Newman, I want you there. And Councillor Lawrence, Bill Scrutiny. Water Race Committee, chairmanship to remain with Councillor Della. And the Deputy Chair will be appointed from the water users representatives. I anticipate that it will highly likely that will be John McFadgen, but it's up to them, it's their choice. Elected members appointed to that committee, Councillor Gallen, Councillor Cretney. Of course, the current members from the community or the users are David Ellison, Jill Estham, John McFadgen and Neil Wadham. They continue, of course. Hearing committee, no change. Councillor Della, chairing, Councillor Cherry Campbell, deputy chair. And Councillor Lawrence, I'm going to ask you. And I'd like you to take some guidance from the two chair and deputy chair and undergo whatever training is necessary through LGNZ. Yes?
I was actually chairing of that committee. Your Worship.
Oh. Are you happy?
Yep.
All right then. Yeah, sorry, I may have written that down wrong, incorrectly. Councillor Cherry Campbell to take the chair and Councillor Della. You can take the deputy chair. You've got your water race committee there, keep you busy as well. So please, Councillor Lawrence, that spins your wheels. I'd really appreciate that. You in there. Rural Travel Fund Committee, I know it's a once annual. Chair, Councillor Cretney. Deputy Chair, Councillor Della. And elected members, Councillor Gallen and Councillor Newman, please. Community Grants Committee, Chair, Councillor Cherry Campbell. Deputy Chair, the Deputy Mayor, Dale. And elected members, Councillor Newman, Councillor Ailing. And moving to the advisory groups. People and Places Advisory Group. Councillor Cherry Campbell, would you chair, please? Would you take the chair on that? Deputy Chair, Councillor Cretney, and Councillors Newman and Councillor Lawrence. If you take the helm on that. Walking and Cycling Advisory. Thank you, Councillor Newman.
You're welcome.
Thank you for taking that up. And Councillor Lawrence. I know you've chaired committees before, so I'm sure that you guys will work well.
I don't have to walk anywhere or cycle.
No, I'm sure you'll handle that. And Councillor Cretney, thank you. Wastewater Treatment Plant Advisory Group, Chair, the Deputy Mayor. The Deputy Chair, Councillor Cretney. Elected members, Councillor Gallen and Councillor Ailing. Rural Advisory Group, now we've yet to produce the organisation, firm on the organisation, but I am going to propose it right now. My proposal is that we have similar structure initially, and we can review that once you've started to put the terms of reference together, and once you've had the initial group of council elected members have convened first. But Councillor Della, I want you to chair that group. I would like to appoint former Mayor John Booth as the Deputy Chair. And I think I need to make that appointment now, Brian, so that you and he can start talking about the process or how many people you would want from the rural community on that group, so you can bring something to us for the council to approve. My wish here is that we start with 4 and 4. Councillor Booth will be one of the 4 from the community. The 4 elected members would be Councillor Della as chair, Councillor Steve Gallen, the Deputy Mayor, Dale Williams, and Councillor Ailing. And I think your background in there. The other thing I note about John Booth is he's currently chairing the Rural Support Group, isn't he? Yeah. Which brings in the mental health, a wider catchment of concerns and issues there. He knows the place well. Do I need to just move on that one? That's that. So,
yeah. Probably the first 3 would be okay, and then I think you might have to.
Pages that.
First 4, 5.
First 3, 11.
Okay together. 6, you'll do individual.
Sorry, I'm just,
Yep, so you probably go down to
4 and 5.
5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, as one item. You could have them as one item.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Got it here. 1, 2. So if we can. 1, 2. Jeez. I'd like to move that recommendations 1, 2, 3 be taken as one. And 4. Is that it, Jeff?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, and 4. Could I have a mover that we take 1, 2, 3, recommendations 1, 2, 3, and 4 as one? Someone to move, please. Thank you, Councillor Newman. Seconded by Deputy Mayor. Come back for you, Steve.
I just feel I should say
Yeah.
something.
All in favour?
No.
I'll say again. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried. Thank you. Recommendation number 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 5, that we appoint Philip Jones as Chair of the Audit and Risk Committee for an interim period. A mover, please. Councillor Jerry Campbell, second by Councillor Della. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried. And 6, those nominations that I have just read out be adopted. Moved by Councillor, the Deputy Mayor, and Councillor Lawrence. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried. Thank you. Moving to 7. I should have lumped that as well. Rocky Hill. Done 7? No, I haven't done 7. Okay, so moving to the advisory group, 6.6. Places, people, and advisory, places, and people and places.
We've talked through those.
I did do that.
Yes.
So I'll just take the resolution straight now. So I've already read those names out. I think I need a mover, Councillor Ayling, and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Cretney. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried. That's the veterans. And we need to do 8. Agrees to continue Hurunui-Rangi?
Perhaps you'd like to move that.
Yes, I will. Okay, I will move recommendation number 8, that we continue to invite Hurunui-Rangi Marae representatives sit at the council table with full speaking but not voting rights. Moved by myself, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried. Thank you. Notes, the governance structure will be reviewed, so that we've had this conversation. This just confirms that. So that is noted. We don't need to move. Thank you. Committee's terms of reference was all done. And I look forward to seeing the terms of reference for the Rural Advisory Group being presented to Council for discussion. 6.7. Moving to 6.7. Elected members appointments to external bodies, joint committees and other groups. So we have a number of committees here. Wairarapa District Plan Review, I see no need to change that. Councillors Della and Chair Campbell. Joint Licensing Committee, Councillors Della and Deputy Mayor, you've just ignored, you've done it before and happy to do it again.
Yep, sure.
Yeah. Okay, Wairarapa Economic Development Strategy, I think I'll stay on there. Yeah. Is there anybody else at the table who would like to be involved in that? I mean, I'm going to sit on that, but it would be interesting to have an alternate.
I'd be interested in the economic development strategy.
So I'll mark up as an alternate. Most definitely. Thank you, Councillor Shuriken. Trails Action Group. I have 2 names. And it's trying to keep in line with the walking and cycling committee. So I have Councillor Newman and Councillor Lawrence. You happy to do it? And road safety, Councillor Lawrence, is that your patch?
Not that I know, but.
Is there anyone? I thought of you because you're fastidious. And
I haven't had anything lately, is it?
yeah,
And CBD and Main Street, State Highway.
State Highway 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Zone 4. That's me. Climate change. We need 2 names, and Councillor Cretney, you've sat there before. I still got your name down. Whether or not you want to remain, or whether we have other councillors who want to be involved in the Wairarapa Climate Change Caucus.
Nobody else does. I'm happy to. I sat on the water resilience strategy, so it ties in. But if someone else wants it, go nuts.
Should the mayor sit on it?
I've got a shed full of motorbikes. It'll be hypocritical.
Yeah. I drive four-wheel drive diesel. However, I am the I was the only Minister of Defence to ever release a threat assessment on climate change, which still. Well, Councillor Cretney, you've had the experience on there. And I am looking for new councillors. No?
Sure.
Yeah? Councillor Ailing? Okay. You guys will do a great job.
Maybe for Robin. She wants it.
Had a discussion with Ron about committees.
You want to?
You had Robin down, didn't you?
Yeah, again.
Yes.
Councillor Cherry Campbell and Councillor Ailing.
Councillor Ailing.
Climate change.
And Wellington Regional Waste Minimisation.
What's all changed?
Are there any councillors who have a particular bent?
In the waste minimisation. I attended a couple of times with Jill, and it's quite an interesting forum. And they do field trips as well to different refuge stations and places like that, just to show how they're advancing things. So it is quite an interesting group.
Yeah, so you're happy to stay there?
You've just talked yourself into that, you know that.
Look, I'm actually happy to jump in as the other person there, because I'm the nutter when it comes to recycling. We can tell.
It sounds like you just talked yourself into a job.
Yeah. Your goal, ladies and gentlemen, is to get to 1 rubbish bag every 3 months, which is what I do. Well, Chris and I. So that's that. We'll move straight to resolutions.
There's a couple more.
Where are we? What I haven't turned the page.
Task force.
There is. Put that one over there. Sorry. Wellington Regional Waste Forum. That's the same one. That's a carryover from there. Task force for mayors, that is the mayor, but deputy mayor will be the alternate and sub for me. Mangatoreri project team. I'm looking for volunteers. I didn't get around to ringing everybody, so.
So where does that stand? I mean, is it?
So the group's just about to release the flood maps for Carterton. That will be in the next couple of weeks. And then from there we will engage with the community and get some feedback on those. And the next stage is working through the mitigation, what potential mitigation we can use to prevent the flooding coming into town. So it's at quite an interesting stage. Jill will be remaining on that because she actually is a Mangatoreri Restoration Society member. And I live in the
flood zone.
In the flood zone.
So stay there.
I'm happy to carry on in it, but
I just need someone else.
To have another.
I just need another backup person there.
Another member role.
Looking for
Probably live in a different flood zone, so yeah, I don't mind. Same things apply to the Mangatoreri, probably apply to the Adapocity.
No other contenders?
I'll put Steve
Okay.
alongside.
Councillor Lawrence. Right. Straight down to Where's the recommendations there, Chair?
Page
That one
144.
there. Receives a report. Oh, there they are. Is that? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. All right, so I'm going to take both those as one. And I have this will be to receive the report and make those appointments as just discussed, outlined, for the term of the triennium. Someone to move? Councillor Lawrence, thank you. Someone second? Councillor Newman, thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Thank you. Appointments to Greater Wellington Regional Council. I think this is pretty straightforward. These are ones that the Mayor and Deputy Mayor should be attending. Wellington Regional Transport Committee, Wellington Regional Leadership Committee. That's going to be interesting. This 3 years, and Civil Defence and Emergency. Don't have any choice there. So Mayor, Deputy Mayor, all the way through those. So move that report, receive the report and agree to those nominations. Someone to move, please. Thank you, Councillor Della, Councillor Aileen, seconding. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried. Thank you. 6.9, local authority triennial elections 2022.
Introduce the report.
Thanks.
Got a team. So what we are looking at is just an update on the elections and the election result. I'd like to firstly acknowledge our communications team who are sitting behind half the councillors here. And they can take credit for such a fantastic campaign with a large number of candidates standing and also having the second largest voter turnout in the country for Carterton District Council. So that is an outstanding result.
Well done there, team.
Who won, Jeff?
Funny you should ask that. So I'll just check the finalised results, and it looks like Councillor Lawrence got highest number of votes.
That is not what I meant.
Highest.
Forgive me, that was my mistake.
Stand in Kaikoura as well.
It was Kaikoura. Forgive me, that was... I thought you were talking about a different race. Yeah, so it's to note in terms of we have to officially note the results.
Yeah. Well, it puts Carterton in a unique position for having those conversations with local government New Zealand going forward as to what works, what doesn't work, and why are some pathetic and why are some not. Because I can tell you from Mayor School, there's a lot of discussion around the turnout, and I think it's pretty widely accepted that there's got to be changes. The question always is, what would those changes look like? Maybe they can come to Carterton and Kaikoura and see how it's done.
They don't have our comms team.
There you go. There you go. So can I have a mover and a second that the report be received? Thank you, Councillor Cherry Campbell. Seconded by Councillor Ailing. Thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Congratulations. Well done, team. I really think it's an outstanding result. Confirmation delegates and delegations manual for the triennium. Who read it all? There's a lot in that, I know. I guess, Jeff, talk into it, please.
Kia ora, Your Worship. The delegations manual has been rolled forward from the previous triennium. There, councillors, no changes have been proposed to the existing delegations that were in force before the election. We're proposing again that you adopt the delegation manual with no changes. It's working appropriately at this time. We think the final changes that we made previously find out any wrinkles, and management are comfortable with the delegations that are operating at this time.
I do have something through the chair. 10.11 Chair of Infrastructure and Services Committee. That needs to be updated to policy and projects. And yes, I did read it.
Amendment.
Yes. Yes, amended. Good point.
Any other questions? Is it something, is this something, like, I know there's a lot of meat in there and there's a lot of background that people may not be. Is this the type of discussion or briefing that councillors would like to have at a point in time so that you understand what you're handing over more than anything? Fundamentally, you can't operate, the CE can't operate without this. That's the bottom line. You have to be comfortable that those delegated levels are set where you're comfortable with them and where they're appropriate for efficiency, and the principle being to delegate down to the level of competence, as much as you can down to the level of competence within the management team, and then you just monitor it.
And also throughout the triennium, staff will sometimes bring to the council a recommendation that those delegations be revisited. For example, if they're set too low and it doesn't make any logical reason why staff can't, for example, water rate penalties or something like that, where our delegations is inconsistent with other delegations that staff have. And it's, we've already agreed at the high level policy of what we're prepared to accept and what we're not, then it falls down to staff to administer the delegation. So this doesn't preclude ongoing conversations if we get a spate of extra work for staff that's triggered by the level of delegation set.
Yeah. All right then, there being no further questions, I'll take 1 and 2 recommendations together. One, to receive the report and approve the delegations as outlined in attachment 1. Could I have someone move? Councillor Newman, seconded. Councillor Terry Campbell. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried. Thank you. So I'll wade through that.
187.
187. There's my flag right there. Councillor meeting schedule. Had an opportunity to peruse. There are no climate change, tangata whenua financial impacts or community engagement requirements, no risks. Moving straight to the dates are outlined. Has anyone got any questions on those dates recommended?
In another few weeks, you'll get the full schedule going forward, so that will make you sharp intake of breath.
All right, taking 1 and 2 together, someone to move that we receive the report and adopt the committee and council meeting schedule as outlined. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Second by Councillor Dalla. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried. Thank you. 6.12. Laws, obligations relating to elected members. Chief?
Kia ora. Kia ora, councillors. This is quite an important paper. This is the paper that outlines when legislation kicks into, normally as an elected member, you have limited liability. There are some cases, however, where there is liability that will fall back upon you. And this paper seeks to outline those instances to give you a clear direction as to when and where those laws may apply. And also looks to outline what is a conflict of interest, what may be a pecuniary interest, and what may be just a side interest, or as is talked about here, participation in voting where there are pecuniary interests or non-pecuniary interests, and how we disclose those. So it really is quite an important paper for councillors and particularly new councillors to understand where these things fall in. And in some cases, the legislation, I think the piece of legislation that we may need to get across, the Secret Commissions Act 1908, I think it is. It's quite an old piece of legislation. Essentially, you're not allowed to take bribes. So, for your vote. Any other questions?
Everyone comfortable pecuniary interests, non-pecuniary interests is worth not acknowledging.
Sorry, if
this,
I may, and just also in terms of official information. So Official Information Act extends beyond just council documents, but also to your own personal emails where they relate to work, or your phone messages, text messages, social messaging platforms where they do relate to your work. So the Official Information Act is it extends beyond just your council email address.
Okay. There we go. Have you had like workshops or discussions, briefing, training?
We can. That's part of our plan.
Yeah.
Yes, we will absolutely bring you up to speed with legislation.
So I think this is an area where you can read it and not necessarily comprehend, and you can read it and not really necessarily fully understand. So I think it would be a good idea to, down the line, we can have a briefing, opportunity for Q&A, discussion. Does it apply here? Where does it not apply? The stuff around privacy is pretty jolly important, and I can say from having witnessed it, there are successive government ministries have fallen over on their face on numerous occasions, and be mindful that what you do store on your own PC is discoverable. And what you store on your phone is discoverable if it's work related. And conversations and information you may share about other constituents, even just a phone number. There are issues in there that you have to be aware of. All right. The safest bet on that one is don't share any private detail, be it a phone number, an address, or full name, or anything on another private citizen without their permission. Mm-hmm. Okay. But I think it'd be useful to have a training session.
Have a training session. If in doubt, please ask.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's tricky ground. So considerations are there. A recommendation that we receive the report and moving by Councillor Gallen. Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Newman. Thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah. Motion's carried. Thank you. Pass that attachment. 613. Jeff.
Kia ora, Your Worship. So look, I will start by taking my Chief Executive report as read and inform you of things that have changed since the report was written. In particular, the major projects section where we have talked about the wastewater treatment ponds, outfall pipe. I'm pleased to announce that management have now secured an easement for the outfall pipe to go through a neighbour's property, and that easement will allow the outfall pipe to be in a direct line with pump station through to the outfall at Mangatiriri Stream, the lower part of the Mangatiriri. In terms of solution, it's taken a long time for our infrastructure and services manager to negotiate that lease. He's been very successful in that, which I am very grateful of. He even managed to coach the neighbours' children in rugby. It's fantastic. I think it was great of him to do that on behalf of council. So he took one for the team, and as a result, the outfall pipe will go through the edge of that paddock. The solution does have a small financial benefit, but predominantly it's an engineering solution where you have an outfall pipe that is a straight line, doesn't have corners and elbows and bends in it. So in terms of an outcome for the wastewater treatment ponds, it's a very good result. Has been a long time in the making. That may into some different conversations, but at the moment we're very pleased with that, and you will see that outfall, the work currently going on down there if you drive south and look to that. The land with Ngātuiri, the pipe has already been laid. and it is just waiting for that joint extension to go through the paddock and join up with the pump station. So very pleased with that result. There's been no other major changes to my report, and I'm happy to take questions.
Deputy Mayor.
Just the page 217 around the emergency funding application, I see it's come forward there that we were successful. That's absolutely fantastic, because the last conversation we had, the application was in, but you weren't confident because everywhere was stretched with the Waka Kotahi budget. So what got it over the line?
He offered to play coach rugby, but no.
I think, Councillor, we've got a very good relationship with our financial advisor, or not, our relationship manager at Waka Kotahi, Jason Morgan. So just that conversations, but I think they followed process, and then we just kept on chasing them for that. Noting that we're in the process of submitting our third application for this year. But yeah, it's nothing apart from following the process.
Well, congratulations, because that was likely to be a significant impact on our ratepayers. So well done, team.
Thank you. The emergency works become cumulative. So the first layer of emergency works is at a lower FAR rate, and then as the allocation goes up, the funding assistance rate also increases. So moving to a 72% funding assistance rate is a really good result, and a result of the earlier applications we put in February for the February event, also for July. This was the July event. The challenge that it will do in terms of impact on council is the forward works program, particularly for the roading team, is now expanding beyond our capability to deliver that work. So we are now looking at how we might then deliver on the funding assistance that we have got, because it's now a process of following in behind with the actual delivery of the work now that we've got funding.
Probably the only other thing that I was amused by on page 222 was the phrase relatively fully automatic. It sounded like slightly pregnant.
I marked there, yeah. Yeah, Councillor Cretney.
Yeah. Oh, you've got no comment on that, Johannes?
So it's more a statement. I could use the excuse of a second language, but what was meant by that is it's fully automated to a certain degree. There's always staff required for maintenance. There's always staff to monitor automatic equipment.
Yeah.
Just because it's automatic doesn't mean we leave the robots to themselves.
It's maintenance free. Yeah.
So it's relatively automatic. That was the that.
I'll remember that.
That's Cretney.
Thank you, Bishop. I just had a question about the roading, and just have there been any murmurings from Fulton Hogan about knowledge of the potential shortfall of bitumen, and if that might impact their future work in coming years?
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Cretney. That has been a topic of discussion probably over the last 5 years in New Zealand in the roading industry. It's always been a concern. That has also moved the market to focus more on the development of emulsions and different types of binders. That's why the likes of Downer Higgins and Fulton Hogan moved away from straight run bitumen more towards the emulsified binders. So that is a concern. If it comes to a complete halt, it will be a big issue. There's obviously opportunities of importing bitumen from abroad. Obviously, that would not be a great outcome for us. So there's definitely it's definitely in the back of everybody's minds, and they are working towards mitigating that risk. But I think there's also in that's also been a great opportunity for the various companies and developing their business and developing new and better products. With the new emulsions that's being used, it's more environmentally friendly, it's more safer, with similar type of outcomes. Does that answer the question?
That's great. Thank you for that.
Going around the table, any questions on any aspect of the report?
Well, just to prove that I do read things occasionally, you've made a note in here about under the library service about the cooperation with Wairaka Word that I know a little bit about, and you have said in here that Graham Knox is coming to assess in November. He's actually coming in December. I don't think that changes anybody's life.
Thank you.
Any aspects of the report at all?
The only thing I noticed was the water storage tanks. It says that the roof was planned to be completed in 2 days' time. I was just wondering if
it's done.
Yeah. Close.
Great question. On my way to work this morning, I drove through the wastewater reservoirs, had a check on the intake, and also looked at the water storage tanks, which do have both the roofs on now. So that is absolutely correct. The roofs have been completed. The first layer around the outside has been completed. The base has been completed, and down is next they'll bring in the hydraulic lifts. So they will lift up the next layer, install the next layer of the tank, then lift it up again and install that until the tanks are complete. So at the moment, the roofs are on and the first layer is done, and we are expecting the hydraulic lifts to come in and the tanks to continue operating. I would like to point out to councillors, the water storage tanks are resilience on resilience. And by that I mean the more important major project for water supply for Carterton is actually the upgrade of Frederick Street. Because the upgrade of Frederick Street will allow us to, it will upgrade the bores, it'll upgrade the electronics and the dosing mechanism and the ultraviolet, that the size of the ultraviolet. So we will be able to put into our network 75 litres a second. Previously we were able to put into our reticulated water network 55 litres a second. So the upgrade to Frederick Street is actually more important in terms of water supply over the summer period than the water storage tanks, because it's how fast we can take the water, filter it and ultraviolet purify it and put it into the reticulated network that is more important than actually how much do we have spare. So I'm very pleased to say that the upgrade to Frederick Street is going exceptionally well.
I do hope you didn't drive through the reservoirs though. A little bit concerned when you said.
I drove around them. Correct. I drove around them. It was good to see that Viking were on site today, and they're proposing to do their electrical testing of the liners, which is the next step that we need to go on. So the electrical testing, when councillors go on our road trip, I will show you the material that we use. The electrical testing will determine the leaks in the liners and potential leaks. And I'm very pleased to have them on site. They've come in from Australia and were unable to be here during COVID.
Any other questions? When's that road trip, the site tour set for?
1 moment. Next Wednesday, 1 o'clock, I believe. Yes, next Wednesday, 1 o'clock. So there will be a council road trip, and we will invite Huranui to join us on that. And so we'll go around council facilities, talk to you about what we see, talk to you about the problems we face and how we're addressing those. But it's a really good way of understanding what it is that we do.
Yeah.
I encourage you all.
So my question is probably, is there any other questions, anything? There's quite a bit in here.
May I make a comment?
Yes, please. Yeah.
It's one of the things that I am disappointed about was Plan Change 1 from the Greater Wellington Regional Council. You would have noticed I mentioned Plan Change 1 in here. My disappointment was really around the timing of Plan Change 1. which meant that the officers had to make a submission on that plan change without being able to run that submission past a council before we had to do the closing submissions. I did approach Greater Wellington seeking an extension for all submissions. They offered us a 2-week extension, which would have meant that you would have had to sat through this meeting and then adopt it before we were able to submit on 2 weeks later. I didn't think that was appropriate to drop quite a significant plan change document on you at your first meeting. So officers have made that submission. It's available to you online, and we're happy to talk to you about that. We're happy to do that in a workshop, either a public or a workshop, to talk you through our proposal with plan change. But it was mostly around some substantial changes to freshwater planning processes, around the adoption of climate change, which was at a pace faster than what the central government is adopting climate change, and around the potential for that climate offset being at a Greater Wellington region-wide rather than a sub-regional basis, where this Wellington region deal with their own problem and Wairarapa deal with our climate change problem. I do encourage you to read that submission if you get the opportunity.
So that's probably one of the issues that I'd flagged. I think we need to have a think about whether we should, as a council, ratify or confirm that submission that was put through by the staff, by the CE on the council's behalf, because that he had to act. I accept the CE had to act to meet that deadline, but whether it's completely what the council's view might be is yet to be understood, because we haven't had a conversation about that.
We get an opportunity to speak to the submission, presumably, Jeff, so any additional comments that this council might want to make.
So that'll be a supplementary submission that we would have to, and so there is an opportunity to do that, and we may want to frame up something more firm. I don't know how many of you actually read the EPS or saw it, even knew that it existed during the election campaign. I know that from the councillors that I spoke to, there are people who didn't know that it existed and certainly had not read it, which is
RPS.
Yeah.
Not the EPS.
So the regional policy statement, environment policy statement. So that's something we do need to get our head around and have a discussion, workshop
to the
about.
December meeting, if you'd like. We could workshop and then bring it to the December meeting.
I think so.
And perhaps, as we did in the last triennium, was have regular workshops with our local member of parliament. We should be having regular catch-ups with our GWRC elected representative. Because that, the onus is at this level, governance to governance, is giving us the heads up under a good faith, no surprises arrangement. We should have known that the staff were working on that.
Yeah, I agree. So we need to schedule that in there. So we can do that. I think in the broader scheme of things, if you look at the implications of the ETS, the Regional Council's Environment Policy Statement, if you look at the RMA stuff, there's a lot coming down the tube, and we really need to have not just a clear understanding where we as a council sit with these major policy changes. We need to understand, Councillor Della, where our rural community sit, and that's why that rural advisory group is going to be important, that we gain a better understanding. I guess the only other question, is there anyone else? If you've got questions that come to mind while we're just talking, just flick me a signal. The only other thing I'd just ask is on the question of some of these projects, and Jeff will be new to new councillors, the history, the depth, where you're going, how things are tracking, what checks and balances are in place now to ensure that the project management is online and in accordance with where you want it to be. So I'm wanting a sense from the council as to whether or not you Jeff, just steer me here. We will convene committees, and those committees will have a better understanding, but I think it's important that the whole of the council, particularly on these big ticket items and particularly on strategic projects such as the water treatment plant and the wastewater treatment plant, where there has been a high degree of controversy of late. I think it's essential that the council be fully briefed. So could we slot a time for just to focus just on those projects, please?
We can pick up major projects.
Yeah,
and
major
we'll
projects.
certainly pick up on our road trip, and we'll see the major projects, which I think brings a whole different aspect to you. Understand it a whole lot better when you can see and touch and smell. I hope you won't smell much because they're operating quite well, but the projects, I'm more than happy to do that.
That'd be great. Okay. Is there anything else? I'm looking forward to the New Citizens Summer Party and
Yeah, new date.
Yeah.
Probably just a comment on Jenny Hall leaving. She's been significant in terms of the throughput of the event centre. She's a one-person dynamo, that young lady, and it's been evidenced by, I think, when we opened up again after COVID, I think every weekend was booked through until Christmas, wasn't it, Glenda? Immediately. So clearly a lot of work had been going on during lockdown to actually hit the ground running. And yeah, I just from a member of the community perspective, I know we've certainly enjoyed an awful lot of good times in the event centre under Jenny's stewardship. So yeah, we hope that we're able to attract somebody of equal calibre and keep the momentum going.
Questions? No questions. Health and safety, we're all cool. Yeah. Right. Then I'm looking for a mover to move that we receive the report. Councillor Cherry Campbell, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. All in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Thank you, Jim. And thank you to your senior team. Yeah. And we'll have a conversation about those briefings on major projects. We'll be down there. Yeah. You include roading in that? Yeah, that'd be good. Is there anything else? Any items that come from? I will raise one if there's nothing. As I said earlier in the first part of the council meeting, I think we as a council should recognise the service of people who have gone. I think for all of them, we need to do something. And I'm open to suggestions and questions of how we go about organising this and what would be, I think we need some guidance as to what's available in budgets, if there is any such thing in the budget, for farewelling councillors, outgoing councillors and the outgoing mayor and his partner, his wife. So how would you like to deal with that? I'm thinking of...
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Good, I think. I know Councillor Keys and Councillor Vergunst retired and had their opportunity for valedictory speeches at the last council meeting. Mayor Lang, former Mayor Lang and Councillor Greathead were not re-elected, so have not had the opportunity for any kind of farewell or valedictory speech. So my suggestion is perhaps at our December meeting, we might give them the opportunity to speak and present and then perhaps show our gratitude at that time. Perhaps at the start of the December meeting would be an appropriate time to do that, and we have opportunity in the public forum.
Yep. That'd be lovely. And a presentation? How do we go about that?
Presentation of?
Afternoon tea?
Oh, absolutely.
No, in terms of something, I think former mayors,
sure.
Former outgoing councillors, in my old days, we used to get silver trays.
It's on the budget because we don't want to increase costs on our ratepayers. There's nothing in the budget.
Ratepayers are grateful for the service.
Normally budget for elected members to leave. That's not usually what you approve in the budget.
No,
So leave that with me.
thank you.
I think if we are going to do something, it'd be nice to do something from Carterton. Like there's
Yes.
the pottery guy who does the pots,
Yeah.
or it'd be really nice to find someone local.
So I know that it always pays to ask. I know that the Mayor Booth, when he left, he was asked, and he was given he and Julie were given a sculpture for the garden. I'd be really interested to know what Mayor Greg and Ellie would like, and Jill again, same. You can get 101 silver trays, and where do you put them? It's always better to have something that they really want. So I think we should ask.
You can delegate that to me if you'd like.
Thank you. Thank you. That was all. No further business? Declare the meeting closed, and thank you very, very much, and congratulations.
Do the closing karakia if you.
I would absolutely.
Karakia whakamutunga, kia tau, kia tātou katoa, te atawhai o tō tātou ariki, a ihu kare iti, me te aroha o te atua, me te whiwhi nā tahitanga, ki te wairoa tapu, aki, 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 amene.
Amen.
Amen.
Kia ora.
Thank you, team. Well done.